Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes ball. People might yet win it here for Wolves. Blasting the shot. What a goal!
Hi everyone, welcome to Wolves Fancast. Matt Guy here with Stu, Jord, and joined by Nate from Soccer Neophytes to talk you through the most convincing 1-0 defeat I think we've had in a long time. Convincing from our point of view, that is. Gentlemen, how are we this evening?
Yeah, all good. All good. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's I don't really know what to say other than like it's just really just Wolvesy. I don't know if that's but it's like it's just I had a message like at half time from like, a couple of my Albion mates in the group, and it was just like you're going to lose this 1-0, you know this, and I was like, yep. It's just how. And once again, we found a way to lose a football match. It's incredible, but yeah, there's a lot of positives to be sure.
There is a lot of positives. Stu, how are you feeling? Are your immediate post-match thoughts, just in summary, before we get into it?
I mean, walking out the ground, I was happy. Well, not happy, but I was pleased again. I think it was really, really good. I mean, you can't literally, other than score, you can't do anything else. I know Kim's gone mental on a whatever she's smoking or drinking at that festival that she's at, that moaning about when do we start moaning about losing 1-0, but you can't, because it's great. We just can't score. I mean, I think I was more annoyed the fact that yet again there's been now Tetley's dog mild in the Emerald Club for the second week in a row. They've had plenty of time, and I know the Heineken strike and everything, but to have now dark mild and then to they'd already lost, that was gone. So then the John Smiths went. And then you thought, oh, okay, we'll go on the Worthies. Then the Worthies went. It was left for the Guineas. But the Guineas was good, though, wasn't it?
It wasn't bad. I must admit. Nate, I understand you've had to suffer a pub full of United fans to watch this game. I mean, that's loyalty personified. How was it for you having to watch it with a load of United fans?
It wasn't too bad. You know, here in the States, I think we want people to follow Premier League. So they were pretty welcoming. Not too harsh on me. I mean, they won, so would be interesting if the shoe was on the other foot. But yeah, this is typically I have about 24 hours to process a match. So I'm a bit more like upset than I think I would normally be post-match recording. But I mean, I think it's an exciting brand of football. It's really fun to watch. So I'd much rather watch this than what we were watching last year.
I think so, and we're going to get into kind of the differences in the style as we talk about the performance. But there is some news to go over first. So those at the game will have seen that our latest addition, Hwang Hee-chan, from RB Leipzig, has made his appearance at Molineux before the game. Came out to a rousing ovation from the Molineux faithful, known as the Bull, which I'm sure will do him the world of good when it comes to our fans for his tenacious style of play, really. It's pretty much exactly what Bruno will want out of a player, isn't it? Someone absolutely dogged, someone determined, and just a bit of a nasty bastard, really. What do we think, Jord?
From what I've seen of him, and again, my knowledge of him was watching that Salzburg team in the Champions League a couple of seasons ago with him, Haaland, Minamino, and I just thought all three of them were like, it was incredible, wasn't it? And you know, Minamino's come to the Premier League, and on loan at Southampton, I actually thought he was good last season. What I saw of him is he's just playing in a very good team, and he can't get minutes. And you know, it's no disgrace for him to be behind Salah, Jota, Firmino, Mane. What I saw Hwang, I really liked it. He's very direct, very, like I say, quite bullish. And I think that with us playing this front foot style, he's got electric pace. He moved from Salzburg to Leipzig, which is pretty much like the Watford Udinese collaboration, i.e. the money laundering going on.
Not linked in any way possible.
No, exactly. And with Leipzig being, the team they are, I think he's behind like people like Yusuf Poulsen and Sabitzer and all these sort of players. So he probably hasn't had the minutes he wanted last season. I generally think it's a really good signing for us because it's a different option. It's different to Raul completely and Fabio, completely different to what we've got. And I think that he will be dogged, like you say. I almost see similarities in him as sort of that pressing forward, second striker, a bit like Okazaki was to Vardy when they won the league. That, someone who's just going to just harass and harry. And you know what? He might get 10 goals in 30 games, but he'll do a lot of off-the-ball leg work. Yeah. And that's where we'll probably see the best of him, I think. So by having him here, it probably allows us to go to Laj's 4-4-2, if I'm honest with you, because he'll drop in.
Well, I was going to ask, Nate, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Raul is Raul, and you're not going to be dropping him anytime soon. We're going to talk about him a little later on. What does this mean for Fabio Silva at the moment? So if we're going to be playing with a single striker, that puts him essentially third in the pecking order. If we play with a front two, it's a bit of a different story. But, is this actually the plan all along for Silva, in that he was never meant to be at the forefront and getting as many minutes as he had? Do you think actually that this will allow just a bit of chance for Silva to kind of just develop with the first team?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge with Silva, right? Is I don't think we asked these questions if Raul didn't go down last year, right? Like he would have just been progressing and maybe playing sporadically here and there, maybe playing more with U23. But with all of the playing time he got last year, it begs the question. And I would be curious, like even from his perspective, how does he view this, right? Like he got so much playing time last season, and now coming in trying to figure out, where do I fit in this team when I played so much last year unexpectedly? So I think we all recognize that he can use some development. He's bulked up a little bit, so I do want to see him out there. But he doesn't need to be out there as much. And we want guys with a lot of first-time minutes under their belt. And so with Hwang coming in, I think that's that provides that. If we move to the 4-4-2, which we'll get to transfers, I know, later, which we probably so.
Yeah, I'm pretty much spot on, to be honest. Stu, you're our kind of international diplomat. How's your South Korean?
I was that close to kind of doing some accent then, but shall we do that? I've probably saw in the same meta Jordan, them 3 or 4 games for Salzburg in the Champions League a couple of years ago, and he was great. Like Jordan said, he was great, and even I can't find the time to watch the Austrian Premier League division. Let's be honest, that's pushing it too far. Although French football 6th now, so it's here and there. But yeah, like everyone's already mentioned, there's a different option that we haven't got, and it's almost like stereotyping to say, oh, he's going to be dogged and he's going to be chasing balls down and stuff and harrying defenders, because that's kind of what you expect of that South Korean team in 2002. But that's exactly what he's like.
Yeah.
And it's not. He ain't called the ball for no reason. It's not just one of them things. That's literally what he is, and we haven't got anyone like that. So again, like we haven't got anyone like Kiefer Moore either. That's another thing. But it's an option that we haven't got, so I don't see any kind of bad down point whatsoever.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So moving on to the game, we won't really talk much about the starting lineup because it pretty much picks itself at the moment, give or take maybe 1 or 2 questions around which midfield pair you go to. So I'd really like to know just what your expectations going into the game, where obviously in the league, we've had about 1 million shots, but 0 goals, 0 points. Were you expecting a difficult game? Were you expecting Wolves to again be another performance where it's on the front foot and exciting, and we're going to be having chance after chance after chance? What were your expectations going in, Jord?
I thought we were going to win. Honestly, Laj has really give me installed all this confidence back in my football club again. Used to go, when we first came up with Nuno, and this is what I can't get on with, the Nuno haters. like, oh, it was always shit. It was always boring. It wasn't always boring. Like, we used to used to go up against anyone and think we're gonna give them a game, and that's how I feel right now with this team. And unfortunately, we've lost 3 out of 3 in the league. But I had no fear, no nothing, and I thought how we started that game. I mean, we've made Man United look ordinary for 90 minutes, in my opinion, and yeah, it's I'm just really happy, honestly. Like the last 12 months of football under Nuno, I fucking hated even putting the TV on. Like, we're in lockdown, we couldn't go, but then I didn't even want to watch us at times. I watched just because I was on this podcast. Like, I generally, some of the games could have took it or left it, literally. Whereas now, I'm excited. I'm like, right, Watford. Like, I can't wait to watch this team again. And I think that we're going to have a fantastic season. I know the start, and you look at on paper, we've got no points, we've scored no goals. I'll tell you what, if we played Arsenal tomorrow, who haven't scored a goal, we'd batter them 4 or 5. There's a complete difference, you know. There's a lot of optimism there, and I think that I know Kim dropped a message in. I'm not going to sing that, Kim, but anyone that's sort of panicking at the moment, don't panic. Like, I think we're going to be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think so. Now, from your point of view, going into the game, what were your expectations? You know, Man United, no matter where you are on the planet, is and continue to be, you know, forced to be reckoned with, and they've spent really well considering what Arsenal have spent and have come out with. What did you think going into the game? How was it going to pan out?
Yeah, I think I'll have to look back. I don't remember if I tweeted it or not, but when they announced the referee and the VAR, I said I think I tweeted, we're going to lose 1-0 and it'll come down to those guys, because the history of Dean and Atwell for us is so bad. So sure enough, we did. I think my official prediction was 1-1, because I think we're bound to score eventually, but I had a feeling it would come down to those guys, and sure enough it did. So
yeah, absolutely.
Atwell is a Villa fan, isn't he? Is that right? Have I got it wrong? Isn't he a Villa fan? I'm
not sure. I mean, I don't know when it comes down to, like, when it's not the match referee and it comes down to the backroom staff of officials, if they make any kind of adjustments because of fan loyalty.
I think it's like immediate rivals, isn't it? Like, so I know that Mike Dean can referee Liverpool and Everton technically, even though he's from the Wirral. He's going to have some sort of affinity. He's either going to be a red one or deep down. But I'm sure Atwell might be a Villa fan. Anyway, it doesn't matter now. All I wanted to say is he's a cunt.
Yeah. Oh, you literally took the word out of my mouth again.
Yeah, there you go. Stu,
were you in positive club prior to the game? Did you think we were going to get something out of it?
As soon as Luke put that we were 4-1 to win, I put a 5, run it straight away, because I thought there's no way we're going to lose this game. They're not as good as they think they are. They're on this massive record of winning, well, not losing away games when amazingly no one's been in grounds for 18 months. So that's slightly skewed. Not that they're going to admit to that. And when you've got a fan base taking cardboard cutouts of a player that's signed who's 36 years old, and you think this is what we're up against here, I was fully confident. I thought, well, one day someone's going to get absolutely battered here the way we're playing, and they're not that great. They're not all that, and we again, chances proved it that we could have done.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was oddly calm and relaxed about this, because I just thought to myself, well, it's going to be a score draw, and that's what will happen. And I'm pretty confident. And I didn't think we get steamrolled or anything. And I think that's the major difference for me, is that this game last season, we'd have invited pressure from minute one. Whereas this game, obviously, we've been on the front foot and we've attacked them and scared them, essentially. But I suppose we'll get into that a little bit more. I want to talk about the amount of chances again. Deja vu, really, Groundhog Day. It's, we are creating a lot of chances, but it felt tonight or today that there was more clear-cut chances. It wasn't down to just one Traore one-on-one, and that was all that we had. Let's talk about a few chances. I mean, Trincao had a great opportunity to score. I think he put in a better showing today as well. not saying he's played badly so far for us, but I think people are a bit unsure. But I think people are a lot more on side with him now. Were there any chances that stood out for you guys where you thought on any other Sunday that's a goal?
There were a couple that I know we'll talk about Raul anyway, but there was one where Traore threaded him through and he passed it back rather than having to go. And you think, oh, for fuck's sake. And I mean, I've probably been one of the ones slagging him off more than anything about his end product and the Jody Craddock thing and whatever in jest. But I thought Traore today was very good. He laid on 2 or 3 excellent chances. And again, that's not his fault that they can't put it away. And in the Trinco one, when he fell over his own feet, when that was just outrageous. I mean, I haven't seen it back, so I this is just going on drunken memory. But yeah, the Sace, the double save from Sace looked ridiculous. I don't know how that happened. And you just think, are we cursed? As Barry Fry pissed in the corner of the pitch here or something? It's like it's anything but score. And I'll be amazed to see what the XG was again for this, because
it was in the 4.7 range. I'm sure it was.
I put it in earlier, I think. So
I'm sure it was around kind of 4.7.
I think it was 2.05 official. Well, say official.
I think this might be over the 3 games. Then,
it was over the 3 games.
I mean, it's high again and much higher than the opposition. And I guess it gets to the point where will Bruno allow the team for their heads to drop, because you can only create so many chances without scoring before you think to yourself, we're doomed. Like we can't finish. There's something clinically wrong here. But like I said earlier, I think the promising thing about tonight was there were more clear cut chances. It wasn't just kind of, I think it was 6 shots on target to United's 3. There were more opportunities and we created more avenues to score, which is promising, surely.
Yeah, and it was shared around the team as well. They weren't just falling to one player, like you said with it earlier about Traore through on goal, 1-on-1. And the last couple where, like Moutinho as well, when the ball fell to Moutinho, you think, oh, you've got to do better than blazing it over the bar again for the second week in a row. But yeah, sharing it around is more encouraging to me than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be a team effort. You can't, and that's I wouldn't say a luxury, but that's what you have to do, because if you've got a striker, as we'll talk about, like Raul, who's not quite on form yet, the goals have to come from somewhere at some point. So it needs to be spread around the team. What did you make, Nate, of kind of some of our chances and the fact that we're creating a little bit more in this game than we did, say, against Spurs or Leicester?
Yeah, I think my biggest concerns with the first 2 matches were that it seemed to be all on Traore. Like, he was the only one making something happen. And if it's all on him, we know he's not going to finish. And even his crossing leaves a lot to be desired. And so today I was a lot more encouraged. Saiz, Raul, Moutinho, Traore. I mean, there was a lot of Trincao. There's a lot of different people involved. And the goals are going to come. They have to come. I think we shouldn't be worried until we don't score against Watford, right? Like that kind of is like, we've played 3 top teams in the league and battered them. And so, Nuno doesn't give up a lot of goals. So there's that. Leicester's a great squad. Manchester United's a great squad. So if we don't put one in the net against Watford, then we can start being a little more nervous, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I mean, we're at risk of this being kind of a buzzword or a catchphrase. So I'm not saying the season starts now or anything like that. However, you look at the fixture list going forward up until December, and it makes a very pleasant reading if you're as positive as I think we should be based on those 3 performances. Jord, from your point of view, were there any chances that stand out for you that literally made you throw something across the room because you were like, couldn't believe it didn't go in?
There's probably 90 minutes worth, to be honest with you. The one thing that, again, I know we're going to touch on Raul in a minute, but he's shot in the first couple of minutes, like, it was all he had to do was square the ball to Trincao. And again, like, I've been you know, I didn't make the game today because I was held up at a festival thing. But yeah, like if it again a match sharp, relaxed Raul will just pass that across the goal and Trincao have a tap in, and you can see he's so like, you know, it's so hard. Like I'm so glad he's back, but you can see that there's so much anxiety. Like everything about his game is there. When he gets round the box, he's like, I've got to smack it. I just want to shoot, and there's nothing wrong with that. But he's not looking for he's got blinkers on, and again that'll come with game time. And I think that we could, you know what, if it would have been 3-0 up at half time today, it wouldn't have been A, unwarranted, and B, like undeserved. It was we absolutely battered them, and like
we did.
Such a Man United, you know, they've got Ronaldo back. I know he wasn't there, but you know they spent all this money on Sancho and Varane, and like you can't tell me they're a better you can't tell me they're a better team than us on the basis of today. Not for me. Like I just think they've got away with one, and we caused them problems all game. All game. So
in some ways, there was like it really was up to some brilliant like individual play. Wan-Bissaka made a couple of great. Obviously, the goal. I think that was that Trincao's shot. That was a great play, but yeah, I think you're right. Other than that, it was like a couple individual brilliances, or else it could have been 3-4 nothing.
I think Sancho was really anonymous, really disappointing.
Crap.
I didn't know it was him until they pulled him off and his name came on the board. I didn't know it was him.
Yeah. And honestly, as well, Fred, he wouldn't have looked out of place for the dog and duck in the Wolverhampton Sunday League. He's shit. Like honestly, he's £50 million. He is right, and he's Brazilian, so they're meant to be able to play football. He's wank. Eggy Johnson would give him a game. Honestly, Eggy Johnson, Fred. I think it's an even matchup. I genuinely do.
The way Traore schooled him, I think it was within the first 10 minutes. I mean, I got to make a gif of it at some point because Fred like falls flat on his face as Traore just like speeds past him.
It must just be like once you're taken out the first time, the second time, the third time, you shouldered off the ball. You as a player, you must just think to yourself, "Christ, mate, what am I meant to be doing here?" Because I am not physically able to keep up or shoulder this man off the ball. It must be ridiculous. Talking about Raul, is it a case that he just needs time, or is it the case that there's more at play here and it's actually a confidence thing? Is it just match sharpness or is it confidence, Stu?
We've had this before with him because even in pre-season, he didn't have a lack of confidence, did he? He looked like he was all over, it seems, and he looked like he was completely match fit. He looked sharp. He looked hungry. But this happened a couple of years ago as well, if you remember back when he went about 3 or 4 games without scoring and he started snatching at things, and then you just need one to come off your arse or something, don't you? And then you're back in the game again. And I think that is what the problem is with him. And you can kind of see that he's, well, I think someone mentioned it earlier, that if Fabio was putting in the performances in the first 3 games that Raul has, everyone would be slating him because it's Raul. It's like, oh, well. And there is going to come a time when if this carries on for another, say, 3 or 4 games and he still hasn't scored and he's still looking this lethargic, then we've got options there to ask the question, does he need to come out for a bit? But I don't think it'll come to that. I think he'll especially against, I mean, looking at how open Watford look, like Nate said, I think it's prime time for him. It just needs one, but there is a cut-off point where you're going to say, yeah, come on now.
Yeah. Nate, would you agree that it's the case that it only takes a minute, girl, as we say over here. It only takes one goal for us for Raul to be able to kind of get his confidence back.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that with the whole team, to be honest. Like, if you put that many shots on and none go in, it starts giving you the tight sphincter syndrome, as we call it, right? Like, you could see them all start to press a little bit. So, Raul, obviously, we're more sensitive to because of the injury last year, how much time he missed. And to be honest, he almost was non-existent today. And so if we're honest, like couple of shots, but but really not centrally featured. So, yeah, I hope so. I think he's a great striker. We all know that. He played fairly well in the preseason, and so I do think if he gets one in, they'll start coming.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Jord, I don't know how you saw it, but it felt very much for me with Raul today that he suffered from the same affliction that Harry Kane did in the World Cup a couple of years ago, in that he was kind of forced deeper and deeper and wider just to kind of get on the ball, to feel comfortable with it, and because he wasn't receiving a lot kind of centrally. Do you think it's just a case that like Stu says, he just needs that one golden opportunity? He'll score no matter how it comes, and then he'll be off to the races.
Yeah, it's definitely a confidence thing, I think, and it's that getting the monkey off the back. As soon as you get one, floodgates low. But I think that'll happen to the whole team. We'll get one, and we'll end up. We've all said it. We'll end up winning games 3, 4, 5, and it won't be a shock. Won't be a shock to the wider footballing community, but everyone who's been watching Wolves every game this year this season, should I say, would not be surprised with it. He's coming deeper and deeper, but I also think that you probably have to do that today, and you've got to think about it. Like, I know I've said Man United are a bit ordinary, but he's playing against two world-class centre-halves today, really. And you've got to come and drop off and try and get space. And I think it was just more so respecting who he was playing up against as well, because anything in the air, Maguire won everything. Anything 6-7 foot off the air, he's going to come and clean everything out, and that was happening. So, yeah, I don't necessarily mind it. I know then there's a call, well, you're a striker, you should be sticking in and around the penalty box. But for me, I see it as a wider, him coming in deeper allows Traoré and Trincao to run in behind. It generates space behind.
Yeah.
It seemed to work okay for me, but like I said, I think, myself, I said earlier that he was sort of in the game, he was pissing me off a little bit. He was just, I don't know what he was just trying too hard. You can tell it, and you just need to say, ultimately, just relax. I know it's easier said than done, but just relax, trust yourself. And we know if we keep him fit all season, the way we're playing, he's guaranteed 20 goals this season in all comps for me in this format.
Yeah, I think you're right. Stu?
I just think the formation at the minute isn't ideal for him either, because you are playing with Trincao and Traoré inverted, so you're not getting crosses in the box, and they're supposed to, in the system, supposed to be coming from the wing backs. And Marcel, for however amazing he is now, isn't a wing back. And Semedo still seems to be stuck in kind of Nuno mode at times, where he's constantly coming back on himself and laying it off rather than trying to take a man on, which he can clearly do, because he did it a couple of times today. When that through ball from Neves, which was exquisite. And when he went out for a corner in the end, but that was really the only chance he had around the back. And you think, well, if we're playing with wing backs, surely they should be doing this job of bombing forward a bit more. And I think if there were actually balls into the box for Raul to feed off, rather than scraps and trying to have a shot off the floor, then maybe he'd be getting in better positions. But I think we're a slave to the system in a way that the defence has 3 centre backs for a reason at the minute. So you can't really do much about that. But yeah, I think that's just something I think, as we've all said, we've got that confidence in him. He just needs it in himself.
Well, speaking of Marcel, almost as if we planned this ahead of time, I just want to put a bit of respect on his name, because I think we've all commented in the past about how his body's made of poppadoms, and he's broken and he'll never last a full season. But 3 league games in, and I think he's played really well, and he's showed that experience that comes with a senior veteran. And I just think that, he'll quietly go through the season, putting in like commanding performances. Does anybody have any kind of thoughts on Marcel and what he's provided to the team so far?
Solidity.
Yeah, solid. I still think he's more of a. I'll keep banging this drum. I still think he's more of a left-centered centre half than he's a wing back. I think he limits us a little bit in terms of how we like to play, because he quite clearly has the George Elikobes about him when he's 30 yards away from like the opposition goal. Like the end ball isn't there, but don't necessarily think that's his fault. And I think that with Traoré playing in front of him, it probably helps in a way, confidence that Traoré can just do what he wants to do a little bit, and Marcel will mop up behind him. But for me, I still think that there's a place for Aitnery in this team, in this system, 100%. But then you're going to have to drop one of the back three. So,
easily.
What a great problem to have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we're, like Laj has said multiple times, he wants competition at every position. And I think we're moving towards that, right? Where there's guys on the bench that we want on the pitch. And whether it's Ryan Aitnery or Marcel or whoever it might be, we're getting some depth finally, right? And I think that's a good place to be.
I think with the fact that, Bolly was on the bench today, Mosquera is in training, and I think the international break from that point of view has come at a fantastic time because it allows, God, I'm not saying it's like a new signing, but with fit players, it gives us those options. So, that's a positive. And I think you're right, Jordan, that I think offensively we can do better than Marcel, but from what he offers defensively, I think, he's very good. And I'm really glad to see he's had a sustained run of games without injuring himself. Obviously, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. Another game, another odd refereeing decision that pretty much has cost us points. You have to say. I know in live time, George, you said you didn't think it was a foul, but then looking back, obviously I think we're pretty much all in agreement that it was. Stu, you said something that shocked me to my very core in the group chat, and actually VAR was wrong today, which surprised me. Talk me through your reasoning.
Well, until I got in the car on the way back, I thought, well, it's just Wolves fans moaning about something for no reason. I thought, it's a 50-50. They've both hit the ball at the same time. It's just fell that way. And then Neves has stumbled and fell down. But getting back in the car and then them images coming out and that replay, I cannot see how on earth anyone with half a brain. I mean, when Graham Souness is the voice of reason, and we all know he hates Pogba anyway, but this time, I don't understand. As I just don't get it. I mean, obviously the main thing is, it's been a year where conspiracy theorists have been right about a lot of things, and VAR and the Premier League being bent as fuck and giving Man United and Liverpool ridiculous decisions for no reason. That's the only thing that makes sense, because how on earth you can see that on a replay, on a fourth replay, slowed down. They had all the time in the world. The ball was in the net. That's the whole point of VAR. I don't actually blame Modine. He was probably too close to it to see it, really, because he's looking because you look at where he was positioned. He was almost on top of him, and the ball's gone away. And Neves didn't go down straight away, which is probably to his detriment in a way. If it was roles reversal, Pogba would be fucking rolling. It'd be in Wolverhampton baths by now. But I think it's just a case of you've got the cameras, you've got 4 different camera angles, and you've got the definitive one there that shows Neves' shin pad moving around the side of his leg. That's a foul. And if you can't do that, then you should be struck off. Simple as that. He's not done his job properly, and we've lost the game for it.
Well, George, you said earlier that they've referred to VAR, but they've not deemed it then as a clear and obvious error. So then they've not told Mike Dean to review it, essentially.
Yeah.
Is this then, still a teething period in the change of rules? Is this an interpretation issue then?
I just think it's an incompetence issue. So, when I text in the group, obviously, like I say, I was watching it from home. So, the group chat, everyone's saying, oh, they've not even reviewed it. And I've text back saying, they've reviewed it, it was fine. So, all they showed on Sky Sports, and again, I'm not sure what on the US coverage how much was shown of it, but literally Sky Sports was showed it back in real time, the ball going in the back of the net, and there was and you saw the ball move in real time. It didn't look much wrong with it. It was like, and I was going, yeah, lads, it was fine. And then 5-10 minutes later, when they start showing the slow downs and the stuff, it's one of those things. I think that these tackles always look worse slowed down. Yeah, and I'm still under the impression that it's not clear and obvious. However, like Stu's just pointing out there, the ball's hit the back of the net. There's no need to rush it. Do I necessarily think it was clear and obvious enough for them to overturn it? It's taken me about 6-7 replays to go, you know what, that's really bad. A lot worse than I originally thought. So I don't necessarily think, and okay, with Stu, Mike Dean's getting stick for it. It isn't his fault. It's all happened so quickly in front of him. It's just, what I'm not blaming him. I think the VAR should have done a lot better with that. And we've already said Atwell was on there. I've already called him a cunt, so I'll call him a cunt again. And you knew they're never going to look at it. However, the thing that really pisses me off, or has pissed me off about the whole situation, rather than the tackle, I don't think Pogba's gone in there with any malice. I think it's just slightly gone over the top of the ball. What's pissed me off the most about this whole scenario is Bruno Fernandes was rolling around like a fanny in the first half. We're on the edge of their box. We've ended up stopping play and putting the ball out for him. And that's happened there. And literally, they've just carried on. And don't get me wrong, Man United have got every right to do so. I just think this just comes down to Wolves as a team. And I think we're too nice. I generally just think we're too nice. And we've been done by the dark arts in 3 games in a row, really. Well, maybe not so much Leicester, but the Tottenham one, Ali, I think it was a penalty, but it was gamesmanship. He knew what he was doing. And we've got done with it again. We're just too nice.
Potentially.
Characters. I do think that, at the whole situation, that's what's pissed me off the most is that, it shows you, we've put the ball out and tried to be friendly about it. And Man United, they've gone on and they've just been clinical and put it away. And that's what annoys me the most about the scenario, I think.
Yeah, I think what is difficult for me to take really is that, Nate, I don't know if you saw the challenge that Xhaka got sent off for Arsenal yesterday. There's more danger for the man in the tackle on Neves today than there was yesterday on that. There's more, if Neves' foot was planted, that's a broken leg, and yet we can't agree that it's even a foul, let alone a sending off. Yet in yesterday's game, yes, he was 2-footed, he was off the floor, but literally next to no contact was made and the man sent off. Still a consistency issue there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so. But to me, I think over time, and maybe I'm wrong, I haven't been following Premier League long enough. I think the new rules where they're allowing a bit more physicality, I think that'll work to our advantage in the long run. These runs, Traore does it all the time, right? He gets pounded every week in, week out, and he just keeps running. Saw that with Trincao a couple of times, Semedo. I think even Neves. I think, Stu, you made that point, right? If Neves goes down immediately, maybe there's a bit more made about it. But and I actually think that's what hurts him in the end. Why they don't go to VAR is because it did look like he flopped. And so, but I think in the long run, playing aggressively, playing through the ball, playing through contact will work to our advantage. So, especially because they're not calling the fouls as cheaply as they have in the past.
Yeah, I think we all want to see the game played with a bit more fluidity and not stopping every 2 seconds for niggly little fouls. But at the same time, I think the referee here, or at least the VAR coordinator, has an obligation to look at that and look at it. That's the technology is there to look at it and be better than the referee's view and be better than the referee's decision, because the technology is there and it's not been used how it should. And that's a failing. It's got to be a failing. And I'd love to know, if Match of the Day 2 is on tonight, what they make of it, or more professionals in the game, what they make of it.
Looking on Twitter, every single person has said it's a foul. Everyone. And I don't even think, you're talking the last 15 years, that's a foul. Any season, regardless of tightening of there being less hands off, less hands on, and any era other than the 70s, that is a sending off offence, and it's a foul and a red card. You can't move someone's shin pad around the side of their leg and get away with that. Just because he didn't go to the floor, it's still a sending off. And we had the thing yesterday with the Chelsea sending off, which was the VAR was showed as a freeze frame. You didn't even see it in real time. And you think, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, the for that one, they got the right result anyway, so it didn't really matter. But point still stands. They're supposed to watch these things in real time and then watch one replay. That's what they said at the start of the season. And Neves has come out tonight and said, we all talk about these things with them at the start of the season, but what's the point? And when you get things like this happening, like Jord said, it took 2 or 3 replays, but that's the point of VAR. You have 2 or 3 replays. It was only on the final one where you see his shin pad move around his leg. But as soon as you see that, ref, look at the screen. This is a red card. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. Before we go to the break, are there any other performances that you want to talk about in the game? For me, Neves was slightly infuriating that he'd have a moment of an errant pass, but then he'd win the ball back with a great tackle, and then he'd ping an absolute beauty up the pitch. A strange game for Neves. I think, I'm not saying the occasion got to him or anything like that, but he looked angry today. He looked annoyed, and this was before the challenge on him in the first place. Obviously, Neves has been in the news about in the same way that Traore has as a potential suitor for United, oddly enough. What did you make of Neves' performance, gents?
I said last week, everyone was saying how great he looked last week, and he did have some great passes, but he started off with a few errant passes last week too. And I get that he pings off some beauties, but that has been what I've noticed with him is a couple errant paths. And obviously no one can be perfect, but it does seem like a bit for all the beauty. I don't want to take that away from him. There does seem to be a few too many errant passes.
It's almost like he's, like you said, he was almost like he was overhyped. And because of how fast we start all the time, it was almost like he was trying too hard. And I think Moutinho today was very steady and very composed, which is normally the other way around. I think we have to really mention, don't we? I think as I saw on the whole, I mean, there was a couple of times there when we would have lost goals last season with Ruin because he wouldn't be on the corner of his penalty area or coming out for headers. Right. But he's got to do better with the goal. The goal's his fault. It's gone straight through him. And that's me loving him for 4 years. And I said when we signed him, I said he'll drop a bollock every now and again just because of his style and how he goes for things. It's gone through him. Even though it should have been short off anyway because it was a red card. Let alone a foul. He should do better with that shot.
Yeah, George, any other performances from you that stand out that you want to mention before we go to the break?
I thought Trincao was very good. I thought he was picking up more dangerous positions in between the lines, and just I like players like that. You can tell clever. That's all. Like very clever player. Reminds me a bit of Pedence. I really liked what I saw of him today. Again, I have to apologise like I did last time I was on the podcast. I'm converted with Max Kilman. I thought it was crap. Well, crap's wrong. I didn't think he was good enough probably for where we were aiming to be as a football club, but I thought he was brilliant again today. And I'm even seeing a bit of passion when we scored that goal at Forest on the video. I'm like, you know what? He's got a personality as well, the lad. Here we go. Like I'm actually like, I'm literally.
They've built it into his AI.
KKC.
KKK.
KKK. Not doing that. KKC. I'm fully I'm an honorary member and we're opening up for any applicants. So anyone who wants to join the KKC, get in touch with the Fancast.
There's a T-shirt there somewhere.
Yeah.
Listen, I just want to end on the game. Like I tweeted out earlier, I think don't let the result and don't let the fact that we've got no points on the board take away from the fact that this was an improved performance over Spurs, and 99 times out of 100 we score in that game. The forces that be deemed that we did not. The footballing gods deemed that we did not. And if you look at the fixture list now going all the way up to December, really it's mouth-watering, the potential of actually what we'll do. And we will put a team to the sword and we will put 4 or 5 past the team. So don't be too disheartened. Don't let that mob down the road or any of the Man United fans at work, because there are bloody loads of them who won't have gone to the game. Don't let them put you off, Wolves fans. This team and Bruno Ball, it's going to be something magical. It's just going to need to click in one game, and some poor team like Norwich or Watford are going to be the recipients of it, and then it'll be a much different podcast we record. But
you know
we're
what?
going to go on.
I was going to say, some poor team who've had a history of conceding 9 goals in the last 2 seasons.
Yes.
Not too far away.
Exactly. It's not at all, mate. It's not at all. After the break, we're going to talk about the transfer window, and we're going to do Twitter Corner. So stick around. Welcome back to Wolves Fancast. So, the transfer window is soon to slam shut, as it's always so dramatic. Slam, kabam. And, we are less than 48 hours away from that now, I believe. I think we can all agree the spine of the team still probably needs a few additions just to shore it up for the season. A centre-back, a centre-mid. Now we've got Hwang come in. That shores us up at the front of the pitch. From your guys' point of view, what's more important now at this point, a centre-back or a centre midfielder?
With Bolly back in training, Mosquera, and are we going to mention this now? Agreed according to Canal Plus. Kaletacar, whoever you're going to say, 15 million euros. I know that's exactly what you don't say because you wanted me to say it first. If that comes through, then we've got, like we said earlier, we need we need to be nasty, and we've got a big nasty bastard at the back if he comes in. Mm-hmm. So superb. That's what we want. And in midfield, we've never replaced Alf, have we? 4 years on, Alfred and Di, always in our hearts. Never been replaced. We ain't got anyone like that. So that's what we need more than anyone else. And I think we get them two sorted. I think we're pretty set. So that's all we're missing because we've got options everywhere else. Yeah, if we get something too good to turn down, I mean, you're still hoping that Botman's going to be done, but I can't see it really, not with the price. But yeah, I think if this comes up through, even if it doesn't happen, midfield is the priority for me, even though Moutinho has started very well, and I didn't think he had it in him anymore, especially in the Premier League. But yeah, midfield for me.
George, for months now, and there's been reason, there's been ammo, and the Hamburglar, he hasn't done much to kind of help us in terms of keeping off his back, and season ticket prices, WV1 bar, and let's not forget Wolves fans do love a moan in general. If we get a centre midfielder in and or a centre back, it feels weird for me to say this. Is it been a good window? With the, Trincao on loan, Aït-Nouri coming in permanently, Sarr, Mosquera, Hwang, and all of a sudden we've actually done quite a lot of bolstering. This seems oddly positive, does it not?
Our best window since we came up, like comfortably. We've strengthened where we needed to strengthen, and it's what we've been crying out for about 6 transfer windows. And surprise, surprise, with Nuno no longer having a sound and Jorge Mendes in Turin trying to get Ronaldo out and all this sort of stuff. Looks like we've been able to do our own transfer business, and great. Like if we can keep distancing ourselves away from that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't deal with Mendes at all. Of course we should. We wouldn't have half the players we've got if it wasn't for him. We need to be self-sufficient and start getting our own sort of types of players in, and we've probably passed up a load of good players in the past few windows because they weren't as part of Gestituth, whatever you call it, Gestufe, whatever. I've had a few bits. I think it's good. I think we are a centre midfielder short. I would again keep on that Salzburg Leipzig route and go for Hedera, who's a defensive midfielder. Again, from Salzburg, gone to Leipzig. That's the sort of player we want. A little bit of a shithouse in the midfield. Energy. I know we were linked with Idrissa Gueye at one point. That's a million miles off. But that's the sort of type of player we need. Someone who's box to box, energy, and can really help us. So I think we're probably one midfield away from having an A+ window for me.
Excellent. Nate, from your point of view now, obviously we're going into from the men's senior team going into an international break now. What will you be doing to kind of keep yourself keeping your football fix at bay? Is there any kind of local teams to you that you'll be watching, or any football that you'll be watching while Wolves aren't playing?
I think there's some USA matches, so I think we've got some World Cup qualifying coming up soon. So I actually haven't even looked at the window. So
was that sad for you when Otasawi left?
Yes,
the bright beacon waving that USA flag and a bald eagle on his shoulder.
Yes and no. Yes, it was sad that he left because I just want an American on our squad. When there's a hot minute where we were linked with Matthew Hoppy, and I was hopeful that we might bring him in, but not from what I've heard about the way he trains and some of that stuff. There were rumors of it last year with Nuno that he didn't like him, but I was kind of so skeptical on Nuno at that point. I didn't know what to believe, but since he transferred out, we've heard more of that. So I'd rather have guys who want to work hard and be there and than just an American. But yes, having an American on our team would be great. But other than that, probably just take a little rest and wait for Wolves to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the next game for the men's senior team being Watford away, I believe, on the 11th of September. I should point out at this point, I believe Wolves women are playing at home on the Sunday, the 5th of September. They've got Forest at home. I hope for Forest women's sake they are not anywhere near as bad as the senior men's team, because Christ, they are in dire straits at the moment. Special shout out as well for the women's team who tonked that mob down the road 2-0 in the Black Country Derby to a bumper crowd as well. So it's really good to see that they are getting good crowds and people are interested in the women's game and following the women's Wolves team as well. So it's really good to see. And there's no better opportunity in an international break to go see the team play and show support to Wolves women. So what we're going to do is a little bit of Twitter corner to wrap things up and see what you guys want answering out there. So let's have a look-see, shall we? Ben Smith, is it bad that even though we've lost all 3 Wolves games 1-0, I'm enjoying how Wolves play? I'm pretty confident that the goals and wins are coming. I think that's pretty much a theme for all of us, isn't it, at the minute? Like, despite the fact that we are 0 points on the board, it's much more enjoyable football, isn't it, than the dross that we were served up last season?
Yeah. I think, well, you look at the if you compare us to the celebrity friends over on Arsenal Fan TV, and then they've lost 3 games on the bounce, and you look at the mood set between them and us, and you'd think we were top of the league the way some people are feeling now. I mean, even me. I mean, I can't remember a time you lose 3 on the bounce and you come out the ground smiling, and they have a standing ovation at the end. It's mental, but it's such a change, and it's almost like the medicine that we needed after Nuno poisoning our minds. There you go. With that nonsense last year, that it doesn't really matter. And I think having the games that we've had, it's almost like been a gimme to, this is how we're going to play. If we lose, we lose. But you can go and see the progress, and we've seen the progress already. And you can see what kind of team we are already. So it's not weird at all. No,
I wouldn't say so. Colin Baylor wants to know, did Adama add even more muscles this year, or is it just him?
Shirts.
Jord,
the shirts are tight, aren't they?
Where's, bearing in mind the pro shirts are, as I experienced with Stu and the Emerald earlier, as tight as they come. He does look fantastic on you, Stu, I will admit. Adama, is he even more of a brute this year? Is he even more of a beast from a physicality point of view, do you think?
I just think we've got to call out the biggest bullshit ever in our life is Adama Traore saying he doesn't do weights in the gym.
I know.
Like, he's like, oh, yeah, I don't do anything. Yeah, of course you don't. Of course you don't, mate. You don't just look like that, do you, randomly, unless you've been bit by a spider and your name's Peter Parker. Like, it just doesn't happen. They don't just grow overnight. he's just a beast, isn't he? Like, let's be honest about it. And I think that there's still people who want Traoré to be sold. I think Stu is maybe one of them. But I just think you should love him for his imperfections. He is what he is. Like, you know, I can't, you know, I've been frustrated with him, but you know what? It's like, oh, there he is again. Oh, silly you know, I think it's one of those things, mate. Oh, yeah, look at him that head again, and he tripping over his own feet. Oh, but no, it's all in all seriousness. Like, back to the question, I suppose the short answer is yes.
I don't just want him randomly sold. If we needed the money, then he'd be the obvious choice to go. And I didn't think what I was saying was it wouldn't affect us as massively as everyone thinks it would because his output is so poor. But I wouldn't just want to sell him because he is fun. It's just.
I would say though, Stu, like the moments of excitement that he brings to a game, I wonder if we wouldn't feel as excited leaving a 1-0 loss if we didn't have that like elevated heart rate we get from him splitting two defenders and just kicking the ball and running past them, you know. So he does, whether we're scoring or not, that's a product, but the excitement that he brings is worth it for me.
Well, was he one of the reasons, when we haven't even mentioned it, how you're even on here, 56 minutes in, you chose on your podcast, people go and check it out, it is great. You chose Wolves because of Nuno and Traoré, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think Raul, I do, for my personal life, I do a lot of work in Mexico, and so Raul, Traoré, Nuno were some of the main reasons I chose Wolves in the end. But yeah, I mean, I love Traoré.
Okay, one final question from Cage Fighting Pod, which me and Stu are on. In celebration of Nick Cage's Pig being released in the UK this week, who would win in a fight, Spider Pig or Babe from Pig in the City?
Babe.
You reckon? He's only a little thing.
Yeah, but he was a crafty bastard, wasn't he? Like, how clever was he? He's like a sheepdog. You got to think about this. The Spider Pig had its flaws. I think Babe was a very clever pig. And I know they're meant to be intelligent creatures anyway, pigs. But Babe was special.
Are we talking Spider Pig from The Simpsons or from Spider-Verse?
No, from the Simpsons version with the combed hair.
Oh, well, then Babe, all day long.
Nate, does Babe mean anything to you? Did that make it over onto? I didn't know if that was if that made it over, if it was just kind of like one of these quirky British hits.
No, I don't know if I ever saw it, but I definitely know who it is. Can I throw in the pigs from Black Widow?
Okay.
All we saw her do was put the pig to sleep, but you would imagine she could also program to do some other stuff too. Or not to sleep. I think she made the pig not breathe, right? It was a little was it the pig to sleep.
Was it Snatch where he Bricktop feeds someone to the pigs? I suppose those pigs that are winning all day long, surely.
That happens in Hannibal as well. Someone gets it when he gets Cordell, stop Cordell, and then he pushes him over the barrier into the pigs and they eat him. Great film.
At least that's the one accent. You know, when I was slightly worried when we were going down the Huang chat, one accent out the back. It was that one. Anyway. So that's the end of tonight's episode. Hope you enjoy it. Please make sure that you're following us on Twitter and YouTube and our other social outlets. Really, really appreciate you spending the time listening to us. Nate, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed coming on the show for us today.
My pleasure. It's so great to be a part. You guys have helped shape my knowledge and understanding of Wolves over the last few years. So I'm really grateful to be a part.
No, thanks for being with us. Jord, any parting words, mate?
Yeah, I just wanted to a little mention as well, just to obviously today there was a round of applause on the 44th minute for a gentleman. I didn't know him. I believe his name was Bid, and I know that people like Steve Plant and Jason Guy were close to this guy. And yeah, obviously it appeared, you know, from what we see, again, we don't know him. It took his life in the week, and I think that we here at the Fancast, you know, we do a lot of mental health podcasts, and we're very much advocates of mental health and speaking out and stuff. So I think, you know, again, I was on the TV, you could hear the round of applause. So I hope it gives a little bit of solace or comfort to his friends and family who would be suffering right now. And I I guess to add an echo to that is, being completely honest, myself and Matt are admins on Twitter, on the Twitter page for Wolves Fancast, amongst a few others, and the DMs are always open. So if anyone ever wants to drop a message, if you're feeling low or wherever it could be, we're more than happy. Please drop us a message. We're more than happy to, speak and interact and engage with people. And I think it's just, it's obviously a sad situation, but it's also a reminder to, it's okay to not be okay and to reach out if you need any help.
Yeah, well said, mate. And I think, there are 30,000 people in a stadium all with one common goal. And the vast majority of people don't want to see other Wolves fans suffering. And that goes, it's not just a Wolves fans thing, it's an everybody thing. And there's so much support out there for people. So, it just takes reaching out to find some support sometimes. So, please don't be suffering in silence, because there are people there that they're there to help. Stu, you're not often one to lower the tone, but do you have any parting words for us?
I was just going to kind of echo it, because I screen grabbed Planty's tweet about this and put it in the Hatherton Wolves group, and there were so many people in there who, Jordan didn't know him, but knew the face. Had seen him in pubs. He went to the Shanghai when we won the Asia Cup thing. He went with the Atherton then. But again, it just kind of proves that it doesn't really matter if you know someone. There's so many people that you just know the faces of because you've been with them for God knows how many years. I mean, in my case, 20 odd years of going home and away. You get to know these people, and like you said, you do. Even if you think, oh well, I don't want to, it's not manly enough, I don't want to open up. Even me being an arsehole all the time on here and on Twitter. If anyone wants to say anything, just jump. I think the vast majority of people, if you want to talk to someone, they will talk to you. So I think if that's a lesson more than anything, unless your name's Atwell, then fuck off. But just talk. We don't want this happening again.
Yeah,
leave it at that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. So for this evening, guys, thank you very much for listening, and we hope that when we next get together on the post-match show, it is being at the expense of Watford, and we give them an absolute spanking. But for now, take it easy.